Hello, you're watching Ellie from Elementary Paper Crafting. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator here in the UK. I've been playing with some lovely designer series paper today. It's from the Tidings and Trimmings suite, and it's a 6x6 paper pack. And I will just very quickly show you all of the designs. It comes in 48 sheets. Let's move that out of the way, and I'll just quickly flick through so that you can see the kind of designs that come with the pack. And as always with the 6x6, they are double-sided, so that's one side, so as you turn them over you see the other sides. Absolutely beautiful papers these are, and so versatile. I particularly like them for small projects and cards because the design is small and it looks nice on a small item. Some papers have quite large images which are beautiful and lovely on cards and scrapbooks, etc. But on a small item the design kind of gets lost. So let's just pop that in there. They don't come in this pack, by the way, but this is just how I like to keep them. So let's open it up and show you what it looks like inside. So you open up the bow, and so you open it up and it opens up into two little boxes with two little favourite treats in there, and you just open them up, and these are mini Lindor chocolates. Now if you can't get those, because obviously they're just a very limited thing for Christmas, you can usually find in most supermarkets, etc., tiny little balls at Christmas time, so I'm sure any of them will fit. Okay, so let's show you how I made it. So to begin with, I'm going to take my first piece of 7 by 4 3/4 inch cardstock, and I'm going to use my trimmer upside down, which I often do, so I've got the numbers quite close so that I can look over and read them off really easily. So the card's in portrait orientation, and I'm going to bring it up to the 3/4 inch mark, and that's, let me have a look, it's 1.9 centimetres, so just 1 centimetre below the 2. So I'm bringing it up to that mark. I'm going to close it down, and I'm going to use the light grey blade here, which is the scoring blade. I'm going to move it along to the 1.5 inch mark and score again. I moved it then and score, and then I'm going to turn it and score again at 3/4 inch. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is turn it 90 degrees, and I've got the two score lines together at the top there. So I'm going to score at let me see, yeah, 1/2 inch, 3 inches, 3 3/4 inches, and 6 1/4 inches, which is here. So that's all the scoring. I'm going to bring in my little snips and I'm going to cut up all of these score lines up to the first score line. Turn and repeat. And this time I'm cutting up to the second score line. Okay, so before I actually cut everything off, I'm just going to burnish my score lines. And it's actually easier once you've cut, if you turn it over, you'll find it easier to just burnish along in one line. If you try and do it on this side, you'll end up catching your bone folder in the bits you've cut. So I'm going to have it up this way so that the 1/2 inch score line is on my left and the 2 3/4 inch score lines are at the top. Now this 1/2 inch piece here is the tab to stick it all together. So I'm actually going to cut away a lot of this. So I'm going to cut away the bottom bit there and mitre it in and do the same at the other end. So that's our tab to stick the box together. Now I'm also going to cut away all of this part here. All right, so I'm going to fold under the rest so that I don't cut that away by mistake. So bringing in my big scissors. I find it easier to use big scissors when you're cutting a long edge like this. It helps to keep it all straight. Took that little bit off there. So we've now got this. So the next thing I'm going to do is remove the top bits here. We only need the second piece there. So I'm taking that piece and that piece off. And then these are going to be tabs. So I'm doing my usual little mitre of the corners. And I'm going to do that on all of the small tabs. So now this is what our template looks like. And at this stage, I'm actually going to take a tiny little bit off this top bit here, but only a very small amount at both sides. You'll need that to be able to close the lid when we've finished the project. So this is what our template looks like when we've finished all our scoring and cutting away. Now at this stage, I like to establish what's the front, what's the back, what's the top, what's the bottom, so that I know where I'm going. So this one's going to be the back here, and I'm going to write in the middle the back. Now you're probably thinking, oh, she's using a pen, why is she doing that? It's because that's not going to be seen. All right, so it doesn't matter what we put there. Now, so if that's the back, if you make it up as you're talking yourself through it, so you know where you are. So if that's the back, then these are the two sides. They are going to be seen. So this is where I want my DSP. So I'm going to put that one there and that one there. So the DSP is going to be stuck on top, so it's going to cover my writing. And again here. Okay, so I know I want DSP there. That's the back, so this must be the front, so I want it here as well. So now I've got a clear indication of where everything's got to go. And that's the key to making a box. As you're working along, make sure you label it and then you hopefully won't get lost along the way. So my DSP has been cut to 1/8 of an inch smaller than each space. So this is 2.5 by 2.5. So my piece of DSP is 2.25 by 2.25. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in place. I'm using the Tombow multi-purpose glue, and it's important to use this rather than a tape, because you must make sure you stick this all over on this particular project, because when you cut out a window, if you've only stuck the edges of your designer series paper down, you'll find that when you cut out the centerpiece, it will come up from the cardstock. Okay, now the die I'm using to cut this out is from the artistically inked stamp set. It's the die that's purposed to cut out this image here, and you can choose any die that you have that happens to be about this size. I chose this one because I didn't want to choose a boring square aperture like, you know, I do most times. So what I'm going to do is I'm just using some low tack tape. So I'm just popping that in place to keep it where I want it, and I'm going to cut the aperture. So that's our aperture cut. So the next thing I'm going to do is put a piece of acetate behind my aperture. And as always, I've taken my piece of acetate and I've put some post-it note on so that I know where it is. So if I just remove that, turn over my piece of work, and I'm going to pop it on the back here. Now I've cut it only a fraction smaller than the cardstock to make sure I've got plenty of room to stick it down, but it just fits inside. And just to make sure it fits, you can always bend around your cardstock and make sure that it's fine, and mine is. And because I've left a nice big area, I can use my tear and tape to stick this down without any fear of it being seen on the other side. So now I can just pop that on the inside like so. I'm going to use this side to cover the sides, the top and the bottom, and these are just little strips cut again at 2.25, but this time just by 1/2 inch. So that's all our DSP in place, our piece of window sheet or acetate in place. So now we just can put the box together, and this couldn't be simpler. So we're just going to put it down on the worktop, and I'm going to fold it like so and stick it down. So I'm going to put the glue on this little tab here. Now just to make sure I don't get glue anywhere else, I'm bringing in the little silicone mat that helps, because if you get glue on that, it will just rub off, and that makes sure that I can get glue right onto the edge of this. And as you see, I went over, but that's fine because this will just wipe off of there, no harm done. And then I can fold it over, and that will stick really nicely in there. and that's all stuck down. Okay, I'm just going to pop that inside, and that just gives me something firm to press against to stick the bottom. Okay, now talking about how to stick this down, to make this look, always when I'm making a box, I want it to look nice from the top. So I always want to put this bit down for last because it gives me a nice neat edge here. So if that's going down last, then I want this one to go up first. So I want that one, that's the back, then the two sides, and then finally the top, because we're not going to see the back bit. So just to make sure that looks nice. So starting off by putting that back in, putting some glue on the side flaps or tabs as they really are, and then because I put that block inside, I've got something to press against to make sure these are stuck down really well. That's the key to making a box a good box, is making sure that everything's stuck really well at the beginning. So let's just give a minute for that to dry off, and I'm just going to test the fitting of the lid. Now that's absolutely perfect. So that's the box finished, and let's pop our chocolates in there. So 9 should fit perfectly. So there's our first box. That's 9 little mini Lindors in a little box with a lovely window, so the recipient can see what they're going to get. Now all you need to do is make another one exactly the same. So I now have 2 identical boxes. I made them in exactly the same way, covered with the DSP on the sides and the different one on the front. Got the apertures cut, and again I've marked the back so I know where I am. So to make the cover, I've taken a piece of basic white cardstock, and I cut this to measure 9 3/4 inches by 2.5, and that is, let me just check it in centimetres for you. So that's 25 by 6.5. I'm going to score at 1.5 inches, which is 3.8 centimetres, and 4 inches, which is, looks like 10.2. It's between 10.1 and 10.2. Then turn and repeat. So 1.5 and 4 inches. Fold and burnish all my score lines. Can't find my bone folder, so I picked up this old one, which isn't so good. Just burnish all the lines. Now I want to make this just a little bit stronger on the spine there. So I've taken a piece of cherry cobbler cardstock because the red in here is cherry cobbler, and I just thought that would be the best colour to use. And I'm just going to pop that on the middle of the spine there, just to give it that little bit of extra strength. So using my Tombow multi-glue. Okay, now the idea is that these are going to sit where it says back onto there. I'm going to glue them onto there, and then this will fold in, and these will be the front doors, if you like. Okay, and then I'm going to tie it all with ribbon. So to secure the ribbon, I'm going to place it first underneath the DSP. Now this is a piece of Evening Evergreen, which is the in colour, and it's available in all the in colours. I can't remember what it's called, satin edged something or other. It's roughly about 18 inches, but that length isn't critical. It can be longer, so you don't have to be anal about that. And I'm just going to add a couple of glue dots just here and there. It won't need a lot, but I just want it to stay still while I'm fitting the designer series paper. So I'm finding the centre by just folding it in half, popping a glue dot on there, and then popping that in the centre. I think that's pretty much it. And then I've cut some DSP. I've got a piece here to go over the back and two to go on the front and back, or the two sides, quite know how to describe them. And then again for the front doors, so you can see how it's going to go. These measure 2 1/4 square. This one is 2 1/4 by 1 1/2, and these two are 2 1/4 by 1 1/4. So I'm just going to pop those on now. So this will help to secure the ribbon in place. Okay, so now that I've stuck all the DSP on the panels, I can then turn it over and add in my little boxes and stick them in place. So again, I'm going to use the Tombow. Okay, and then when it's dried, we can lift it up gently and fit this over together, and you'll be able to tie your ribbon bow. Now I'm going to, now I deliberately haven't made these front flaps, front doors, whatever you like to call them, the exact width, because when you tighten this up, the size, the width of this can change. So if you'd made it to fit exactly, it might overlap or not be short or not be right. So by making it deliberately that much shorter, you can see the design of the paper. So that was how I designed it. So there we are. That's perfect. So let's just trim the ends off. Just a little bit too big, I think. That's it. And that's lovely. And then just to finish it off, I've taken the greeting Merry Christmas from Perfectly Plaid because it's just the right size for this one. And I'm just going to glue that one on the front now. So there's my little Christmas gift. I hope you like that, and I hope you give it a try. If I can help you with any Stampin' Up products, I will be very happy to become your demonstrator. I will add a link to my online store and the current catalogues that are available for you to purchase from in the description box below. If you're watching on YouTube, that is, if you're watching on my Facebook page, then there is a link at the top, shop now or something like that. I hope to see you back soon. Bye bye for now.